Good morning, and welcome to Unity of the Key Spiritual Center. I love looking out and seeing friends here, and I know we have a lot of people watching on Facebook and YouTube these days, and I'm so grateful for that opportunity to connect in different ways with the way things are in the world today. My name again is Suzanne Renouf, and I'm honored to share this message with you today. I've been a truth student, I think for about 6 years, so maybe not so long. And I have to say that I love that term, truth student. Lori used truth student in her message a few weeks ago, and it just really made me smile, because I think what that means is that a person is continuing to grow and learn and has the ability to change. And in fact, actually is making a choice to grow and learn and change. And we all can make that choice. I think that we have a lot of growth happening today. In Romans, the Bible reads, "And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." So what I want to share with you today are some tools that we can use to renew our minds. So I was introduced to Unity teachings in Richmond, Virginia, and the Reverend there, Reverend Richard Bunch, who I love, at Unity of Richmond would say, "We are spiritual beings having a spiritual experience in the human condition." And of course, by the human condition, he means the world of our senses, right? He's talking about what we can see and hear and touch, the world out here. And I think that we can all agree that there is a lot going on right now in the human condition. And not only in the world just right outside of ourselves, not only in our homes or our neighborhoods, our towns, our states, our countries, but globally. There's a lot going on. And people feel a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear and distrust. Yet there's also a lot of hope and love and positivity happening. I'm going to share with you some tools that help me to stay more on the positive side of that equation. But before we dip our toe into the really big topic that is the 12 powers, let's remind ourselves of the 5 unity principles, our core beliefs as truth students. The first, of course, is there is but one power and one presence in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. So this means that there is no duality on the spiritual plane. There's only good. God is good. God is love. Our second principle, which Lori mentioned today, I was happy that she did that, our essence is of God, and therefore we are inherently good. I am good. You are good. You are good. You are good. This God essence was fully expressed in Jesus the Christ. Jesus was a man, and he attained the status of Christhood using some of the tools, actually. They didn't have that name back then. And that's why we study Jesus as a way shower. And yes, there are other way showers. And we also show each other the way, right? And this means that each of us has the capacity to self-realize and let our Christ light shine, for we are divine, we are of God, right? The third principle, we are co-creators with God, creating reality through our thoughts held in mind. Therefore, our thoughts have power. The fourth principle, through prayer and meditation, we align our heart-mind with God. And denials and affirmations are tools that we use in Unity. And today we'll talk about the 12 powers as a tool as well. Through thoughts, words, actions, we live the truth we know. That's the fifth principle, and we're going to talk more about that. So the truth that we know, capital T truth, is that each one of us is of God, is God. God is, I am. We are. We are good. Our thinking creates our world, and we have the power to change our thinking and to rise in consciousness. So my husband, Neil, has this coffee mug I pull out whenever I need to remind myself of this truth. And it says on it, it's really cute, it's a little flower, and it says, change your thinking, change your world. And I like it, it's simple, and I like simple. So for Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, Christ within, or consciousness, is the one overarching, capital D, divine idea in God mind. And the 12 powers are divine ideas in the Christ and are used to regenerate or evolve Christ consciousness in us. Paul Hesselbeck, who's a contemporary Unity minister and wrote this amazing book, Heart-Centered Metaphysics, says that the 12 powers are a consciousness operating system, which is kind of more modern language that we can all relate to, right? Our computers have an operating system. We have an operating system. The 12 powers are our consciousness operating system and are used to express more of our true identity, to let our authentic selves come and rise to the top. So the 12 powers, after all this hype, the 12 powers are these: life, faith, understanding, power, imagination, strength, wisdom, love, will, release or elimination, order, and zeal. Okay. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I lost my place. I was really nervous coming up here today. It's funny because I was writing this message and I was talking to my husband, and I really felt like I wasn't doing it justice, and it wasn't resonating with me. And so I was talking to him, and he said, Suzanne, you just have to be yourself. Just don't think about how other people do it, just do it your way. And now I've lost my place. So let's see. Okay, that's the end. I turned them upside down. All right, well, we'll just wing it here. I seem to be missing a page. Here we go. So how do we use these powers? Thank you for your patience. First, we become aware of our thoughts. Often there's a feeling first. Something happens and we react. Fear often lies in back of negative thoughts. And I'm not talking about appropriate fear here, like the fear that propels us to take right action and run away from a bear in the woods, or the fear that has us going to the store looking for a battery-operated radio and a flashlight 2 days before a big storm is coming. That's appropriate fear. But let's look at fear around unmet expectations or differences. Earlier this year, like a lot of people, I found that my schedule was changing. And I had some time in the morning, and so my friend Olga and I decided to start walking in the morning. Normally we greet everybody that we see. We're both kind of very friendly. We like to say hello to everybody, have little conversations. But eventually what happened was we started wearing our masks. That was the ordinance. We're going to wear our mask outside. And so we did it even when we were walking and we were sweating and hot. We did it. And when we would start seeing a lot of people who were not wearing masks. And what happened was we kind of fed into each other's fears, and we started complaining to each other. Look at that person. They're not wearing their mask. How dare they? Da 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 da. And we started complaining, and we weren't particularly kind about it. After a few days, though, we both became aware of this. And we became aware that we weren't enjoying the walk anymore. We weren't enjoying the beauty of this amazing place where we live. And we didn't like feeling angry, fearful, and we didn't like being unkind. So together we decided to change our approach. So we practiced seeing the divine in each and every person we came across. So we even do namaste to remind ourselves. We made a game of it. We smiled and we laughed, and even more, we took the action of simply going around, of crossing the street if we weren't comfortable. You see, we had the power all along, the power to change our actions, the power of understanding, to see that our beliefs can be different from others, the power of will to choose to accept and set a different course, and the power of love always to recognize the divinity in other people, whether we agree with them or not. We even use the power of zeal to get started. That's what that power is for. And we both agree that it really changed the tones of our walks, and we can walk again and be comfortable. All right. Let's dip in a little deeper now, maybe to our ankles. Right now, I think my favorite power is the power of renunciation. Here it's release, renunciation. Sometimes it's called elimination or release. And this is the power to let go, to release. In the book, The 12 Powers, Charles Fillmore writes, "Thoughts are things. They occupy space in the mental field. A healthy state of mind is attained and continued when the thinker willingly lets go of old thoughts and takes on the new." So first we have to recognize thoughts that no longer serve us. And so again, we become, as Eckhart Tolle might say, the watcher of our own minds. We become aware of what we're thinking. We might not even realize, for instance, that we're being unkind to ourselves when we make a perceived mistake, and we have that inner dialogue that says, "Wow, that was stupid. You are really dumb. You know, what's wrong with you?" And the words may seem harmless enough, but would you say that to someone else? No, I don't think so. Or to someone you love? That is an old record, and it's a record we did not record. It's time to get rid of it. So for myself, I used the power of elimination, and I'm still working with it. I'm working with it all the time. I recognized a pattern of behavior and responses that kept happening over time, right? I didn't like the way I thought or behaved when those old patterns were triggered by seemingly small disagreements or differences out here. I didn't like the things that were happening out here or what somebody would say to me. And I was having these anger and fear responses. It was far too extreme for the situations. And so it was an evolution. First I recognized I didn't like that old pattern, then I used denial, did affirmations, and for me, it was based on a fear of loss oftentimes. So I might say, I deny this fear has any power over me. I affirm, I am a divine child of God. I am love, and I am loved. And we use whatever denials and affirmations time, and I would stop and pause. And that was a victory. And then sometimes I would walk away. I'm not going to react that way today. You know, it was a choice, always a choice. And so I'm still working on that. But there's progress. Okay. So now let's dive in really deeper now. So in this book, Heart-Centered Metaphysics, there are a few chapters on the 12 powers, and he does a really brilliant job of describing the powers. He gives us quotes, and he synthesizes a lot of the Unity information, Charles Fillmore books, Myrtle Fillmore books, and other things as well. And I think I can see myself studying this book for a very long time. So anyway, when he talks about the 12 powers, those innate, Christ characteristics that we all have, he refers to working with them on 2 levels. So we work with them on our sense consciousness or personal consciousness level, and from a spiritual awareness or higher consciousness level, right? So in the outer human condition, that's what we see, hear, can touch, right? In the first example that I gave, when my friend and I were walking, it was really in hindsight that I realized we were using some of the powers, right? And they were applied kind of naturally because we have them. We always have them. And so in the second example, the power of renunciation was used to change a pattern of thinking that didn't work anymore, to release the old baggage. And this time it was purposefully applied to a specific situation or behavior, still out here in the outer, but by default it changes me because that's the nature of being. Right? I have no control over people, places, or things, but I can release or deny expectations or unrealistic fears and affirm my own inherent worth so that that stuff out there doesn't affect me so much. And it's working. So in that case, it was kind of on both levels that I was working with it. I could feel it in here. It was changing that situation for me, and I was growing spiritually. And now we can really dive in, and it just gets deeper. So we can choose to purposely work with any of these powers, or even some of them together. One of our assignments in Barbara's class was to work with one power for a week. And I chose to work with the power of love because I'd been traveling and I was feeling really judgmental and unsafe around others. So I used affirmations around love before meditation, and that was working the spiritual piece of it. I was sitting with love and looking for how love showed up for me that week. And that which we put out in the universe comes back to us. So if I'm working on being a more loving person, then we begin to see love come back to us out here, right? So I would ask myself, am I being love? Am I loving? And we can do this with any of the 12 powers. And so still deeper, to help bring the powers into consciousness on that deeper level, we can use a tool from Sid Paulson's book, Your Power to Be. It's a great centering prayer to read aloud before meditation. And what I learned about this is, if I'm making those affirmations before I'm sitting in silence, then I can meditate at a deeper level. And that's kind of what we do here at Unity. So for instance, I would read through each of the powers, but I won't do that now, and I would affirm, I am the power of faith. I am faith. I am faith in action. Because without that action piece of it, we're not growing. We're not changing. So it's more than just reading the book and feeling good about it. It's actually using it in our world, right? All right. So first we recognize that we want to change, then we own the ability and the power because it is ours. We remember our divinity, and then we put it into action. So right now, we're living in a really strange time. We have external and internal turmoil, but we have the power to transform that. And first and foremost, it's with ourselves, right? The poet Browning wrote, "Release the imprisoned splendor," and that's what these tools are for. It's to help us to undo the walls that we've built in our human experience so that we can be more of our authentic selves, right? More of our God selves. So if there's one takeaway from this talk, it's this. If we apply the unity principles, God is, I am of God, thoughts held in mind, reproducing kind, we have tools to align our God mind, and we can change our thoughts, words, and actions to live the truth we know. And that's it. Thank you.